proms coming out of that little town, like a Matthew McGillivray. They've all grown up together and they've pushed each other from surfing the point down the end, which is like an absolute world-class longboarding wave, all the way up to being, you know, the powerhouse surfers out at Supers. As we take a look now at Brian Toth into that first section, but pumps very hard to make it around this one. He just hits that foam.
He's wanted to hold that inside position. It's obviously deliberate. It's obviously a strategy, but it may be obvious about now that it ain't working.
Yeah.
And at this point, I would just get down in amongst the other guys and just kind of, because if you're in the pack and you get a good one, that means that the other three didn't get that good one. But if you're not there, one of them's getting it. And that's kind of what's happened now. When you sit in different positions, it really opens up the element of luck from Mother Nature. It could send it to you, so you're a chance. But it could send it to them and not to you. So I always like to reduce the luck by sitting where my opponents were. And that way, at least you're in with a shot at it.
I believe you're right, and I've been saying it the whole event. That wide one without priority has given excellent scores to a lot of the surfers. So, you know, at this point, Brian, get in the mix, get scrappy, and start being part of the conversation. Strategy worked, but the waves never really panned out for him. So I'm with you on that one, Barton.
And I think it's fair to say, Otto, that we've seen more wide scores without priority than deep scores with priority. So if you were going to analyse which deep or wide, where the most opportunity was, I think you're spot on, mate.
It's almost like you want to start off on the deep peak to set the tone, right, and set that first wave, but then start picking off the wide ones. And as we can see, Leonardo picked off a wide one. 4.83, not the best score, but getting into the conversation, and that's what you want. Brian, at the moment, 2 very low scores. You know he wants to change that.
Leo now on his forehand uses priority on this wave. Slices through that opening turn, sets it up on the second. Now driving down the line, pumping a little bit here to be able to put on a clean finish. He'll kick out, and he'll be improving on that 4.83 that he's got on the board, or at least backing that up. Chasing just a 2.67 right now to take the advancing position away from Tim Elter. Of course, repecharge rounds to open the day, so top 2 advancing through. Bottom 2 surfers are out of competition. Now, not a lot of consequence for Leo in the water because he already has qualification, though he does want to have his very first World Surfing Games gold medal hung around his neck this year. I'm sure he would love to go into the Olympic Games with that kind of momentum sort of behind him. As we take a look now at Sebastian on his backhand.
Wow.
He's just, finishing.
He is loose. It seems like he has no pressure. Going back to his background, you know, he grows up at Jeffreys Bay, but he also comes from Chacagua, one of the best right sandbars in Mexico. So this guy's got the best canvas to practice all these maneuvers. And, you know, other than J-Bay, Chacagua has a little less of a crowd. It's a little easier to surf without a wetsuit. And I'm looking at his equipment. I'm looking at his poise. He looks so comfortable and so dynamic. That last turn, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You look at the way when he gets up and just stands, you go, oh, it looks beautiful. Just the stance, the way the legs are, the way the arms are. And then it feels like in that stance you wouldn't be able to generate so much power at the click of a switch. And it's amazing.
It's almost like he's slowing himself down in a moment. Like his equipment's so dynamic and so light and loose that he's slowing himself down so he can complete and put like that really progressive touch on each maneuver.
And slowing the mind down. Like the mind's not racing him to anywhere, is it? He's just looks very settled in himself and he's right where he needs to be on the wave and within himself. It's been a great performance so far for Mexico.
Barton, what are your thoughts on this last of Leo?
You know, he had the 4.83, so this is going to back that up. Most probably see him go into second place. It was, you know, it was good enough at this point in time to put pressure on other people. He was in the 3rd place prior to that. There you go. Gets the 4.77, backs up the 4.83, goes into an advancing position and puts some pressure on this young man.
Timmy now up and riding. Uses first priority into a great-looking opening snap. Just connects with that kind of whitewater crumble on the second and finds a cleaner section to finish off with.
He's picking really good waves. I think he definitely has spent time in the lineup, seen this place at less than better conditions and really picking those waves that reform. Like when you see him stand up, it doesn't look like much. And all of a sudden he just gets that kind of under, like I call it the low road.
Yeah.
He gets the low road and it sucks up and it gives him that scoring potential. So very intelligent surfing there by Tim Elder. I wouldn't be scared to see that 5.60 coming in for this one, Barton.
What I'm seeing, you see the size of the turns? I'm seeing a bit of that Ethan Ewing board length and board size that's allowing the turns, when they happen, they're not short and flicky, they're big and wide and broad. And so the size of board and the equipment looking great too.
Sebastian now up and riding. Excellent opening maneuver, sets it up for the second. Clean canvas as he comes in to finish on the inside section.
This guy's surfing by himself in this heat. He's just, I think this is a fight for second, if I'm not mistaken. He's just in rhythm with the ocean, in rhythm with whatever's happening. And, you know, that wave, he surfed it really tranquil, but I believe that might be a better score than that 5.00.
The only thing that I think for sure, except for that little stumble in the whitewater right at the end, that might, give him a reason not to go above the 5. But these opening turns, the time he takes, look at the way those arms... Oh, I've become an even bigger fan. I was a fan in El Salvador last year watching his performances, but watching his performance here this morning, unfortunate right there at the end. But all in all, when you look at where Brian's sitting within himself and where how Sebastian presents to us, you get that, you see what is capable with the use of a mind in a way, and what it can do to you on the positive and the negative side of its impact.
Yeah, you can see somebody that's very free and let loose and let go, and see somebody that's holding on to something so tight that it's being hard to grasp. So great observation there, Barton. I'm right with you. I'm feeling the vibes and the energy.
Yeah. Come on, Toffee. Let's do this for the locals. Let's get them up and running. Tim Elter.
Tim with an opportunity in front of him to start closing the door a little bit if he can improve on that 4-point ride. Won't do it with that fall. Then he could be getting himself into a better second place position. A 5.77 for his last wave. Does well, though, to put him back into second. Drops Leo down into third. Leo now chasing essentially a 5-point ride to gain the advancing position. Rio Waida will be paddling out for Indonesia Championship Tour surfer. Has had such a great run here at the World Surfing Games in the past, and an Olympian from Tokyo 2020 up against a new Olympian, a future Olympian in Felipe Toledo. We didn't see him competing in Tokyo, but he will have that opportunity to showcase his surfing in Tahiti, and he's paddling out next in an effort to assist his teammates in Gabriel Medina and Iago Dora to try and earn that extra third slot on their men's side of the draw.
João Chianca and he already booking their spots. 2 natural footers, and you know that left better than I do. Be good for Brazil to have a goofy footer in that team.
Well, you know that Iago and Gabriel are on a mission, and they're going to put it in their own minds to achieve that. Gabriel is definitely favoring these conditions, and I can't even tell you how much Iago's enjoying it. Yesterday doing grab rail, frontside airs, just putting up a show. And that last heat of the day was such a great conversation. Teamwork, strategy, and great surfing at really challenging conditions. Brazil's here to get that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And other nations might not have felt that way and might have almost surrendered it for something else. But Brazil and France, certainly not. Those 2 powerhouse nations really been the standouts for this whole event, haven't they?
That's right, and for Brazil specifically, it'll be exciting to see how the dynamic continues to unfold as they get closer to trying to find that, although we've had France still with all 3 surfers in the conversation as well, so there's some real fight that's going up there. But between Gabriel and Iago, the Brazilian Surfing Association, CB Surf, has decided whichever of them places higher in the event, if they win that spot, gets that spot. So both of them are going for that gold medal.
It's like a double whammy, right? They're doing it for the team, but then they're going to have their own surf off at one point if it happens. Oh, Brian, come on, let's do this.
All right, he's been sitting with priority for a long time. A few mistakes early on have led him chasing now a 7.27 on this wave. Stalls here after that opening section, just lays it into the rail. Smooth surfing. Now starting to kind of eye off the end section, decides that's not going to be enough for him. He's paddling back out. Where's that going to be within the scoreline? Chipping away, at least improving on the 2.50, but maybe with a significant score requirement still ahead.
Yeah, Brian on this one hits it off the top, gets a little bit stuck, finds that inside section. This is a nice wraparound all the way, hits the whitewater, really free-flowing. I thought he was going to try to work the wave a little more. The wave didn't have much to offer Barton, and Time is winding down. Come on, Brian.
Yeah. Do it for the locals. Tim Elter.
Just under 3 minutes on the clock. Tim trying to close the door. Improving on a 4-point ride would help him do that. Getting great extension out of each of those turns and this pocket section on the inside. As Otto was saying, Tim spent so much time here. He knows this way well. He's got that energy going for him. He wants the opportunity to showcase the slab surfing that he does kind of outside that competition realm every single day of the year and have a shot at a gold medal come Tahiti.
Consistency, consistency, consistency. Barton, this guy, relentless. The clock winds down and he only gets better.
Yeah, he's been in great form all week. Let's have a look at this replay. First snap, quick. Second turn. Both of them a little bit short. They could have got a little higher on the wave face, but inside it just kept delivering. Great wave selection, as you said. They look like the type of conditions where you can try and pick waves, but you don't know what it's going to do inside there. And by being busy and surfing, you create opportunities.
Sebastian Williams up and riding. Now his last scores were underneath that 5-point range, so they don't factor in. He's getting creative on the in section. But like you said, Otto, it's like he's just in a class of his own right now. He's figured this out. He's got things dialed. He's now already focused, maybe even on that next heat.
Yeah, he's just been on a great rhythm, like every single one. Come on, Brian.
Toth now up and riding into the opening section. Big, meaty wave ahead of him. Now looking for something quite critical, though, and it doesn't really open up for him, Barton.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to go. That felt like it was a bigger wave and it was going to come inside and do that double up and reform that it has been the bread and butter of the big scores, those reforms. And when you get them, I don't know that you can predict what's going to happen when you first take off, but you can guesstimate. That one I thought was going to give it to him. It didn't, though. Did he race off a little out onto the face and maybe you need to cut back to the power source a little bit and give it time to stand up, Otto?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? I think the low road has been the one that's been paying off. We saw Tim on that last one just really get the pizzazz on the last couple of maneuvers. And it seems like Brian's waves have never materialized at the end. And we've seen a lot of the major maneuvers in a combination outside, but the bang comes in that little low road section.
30 seconds. He's up and riding, Shannon.
30 seconds with a chance. Scores requirements increase just slightly to a 7.3. Goes in for big section, but he's not going to be able to hold on to it and can just feel things crumbling away for the local Puerto Rican. Leo with a chance to grab the 5.72. He's chasing to put himself up into second place position. He's put together some great, dynamic, exciting surfing within this year's World Surfing Games. But it doesn't look like this wave is going to give him too much to be able to finish off with. And it seems likely that Sebastian Williams and Tim Elter will be holding on to those advancing positions, VL.
Very likely, and unfortunately for Puerto Rico, Otto.
Yeah.
Toth out in this repechage round, but he's had a great event, mate.
Yeah, he's definitely been our pride and joy, and we're really proud of Brian. And, you know, hopefully the mathematics go his way, but I got to say, this guy was just in rhythm, and Mexico is a happy country at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, scores in. Sebastian Williams with the win, a 7-point ride for this air. Start out the morning. Tim Elter of Germany holding on to second. Leo and Brian Toth out of the conversation. More when we return. Felipe hitting the lineup.
Arecibo with athletes from around the world to restore the mangrove forest behind me. Protecting our coastline is critically important for the health of our waves, so we're honored to be a part of the ISA and these World Surfing Games. Today we're restoring a mangrove forest. These mangroves are what are called blue carbon ecosystems. They capture and store more atmospheric carbon than any habitat on the planet.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua, a unique name honoring our island heritage and the vibrant spirit of our people. When you bask in the warmth of our beaches, when you taste the love in our food, when you embrace the call of our adventures, you'll find that spirit in yourself. Dare to live every moment. Live Boricua.
Welcome back to the action. We just saw Sebastian Williams take out the win. Tim Elter of Germany walked away with second. Leo having a moment to congratulate him. He put up a solid fight to try and steal that spot away from the German. but it will be Leo bowing out of competition alongside the local Puerto Rican Brian Toth. It was such a fun ride this week to watch the journey of Brian getting all the way to this end of competition. But now moving forward, our Spaniard, Andy Crier, out in the lineup in the blue jersey, pumping down the line, setting himself up after that opening turn, looking for a big tail slide on his forehand and even more to fight through in the flats. Doing well to stick with this wave. Going to get a little reform on the inside as well. He'll just kick out in the water up against Canada's Cody Young, Brazil's Felipe Toledo, and Indonesia's Rio Waida. Taking a look at some live action now as Rio is up and riding, setting himself up with a nice opening maneuver and smooth surfing from the Indonesian. Dynamic as always to kick things off in this heat. Couple scores to drop through from the opening exchange. Otto and Barton here in the booth still.
Really impressed at Rio. Like, we know he comes from the land of perfection, and he is surfing this kind of wave like, he surfs it every day. Maybe he's from the windy side of Indonesia. But Barton, super fluid, super good. And I have to say, Andy Crier, another one that spent some time here. The VAST team came down here. They did some sparring, they surfed it in all kinds of conditions. And I think the people that spent time here and went surfing when the waves weren't at the best are really capitalizing. Obviously Tim on that last heat, he was very comfortable in the lineup. And I think Andy opening up on that nice little wave, representing Spain.
Andy on his forehand, getting that first turn, now finding himself with a little kick out here. 22 minutes remaining on the clock. Let's go down to the beach, catch up with Mitchell Salazar and Sebastian Williams of Mexico, keeping his dreams alive.
That is absolutely right, Sebas. Muchas felicidades. Big congratulations. Off to a blazing hot start. How important was that for your success in this heat?
Thank you, Mitch. Muchas gracias. Yeah, super important to start off the heat right off the bat with a good score. Opens up the door to get an even bigger score. Very happy.
At a point in the event right now where there is no tomorrow, how important and how significant is it to have the crew that you have behind the scenes with Team Mexico right now?
Absolutely. Actually, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a really big thank you to Poli Sierra, because without her, none of this would be possible. I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have the amazing team behind me that I have right now. So my heart goes to Poli Sierra. Thank you so much for everything you've done for Mexico surfing and all of us on the Mexico team.
You're going to surf again later today. Anything you want to say back home before we let you go?
Yeah, I got a couple more heats coming up. Muchas gracias a todos mis amigos que están en México viendo los heats y mandando mensajes de apoyo. Se les quiere mucho, me dan toda la motivación y seguimos adelante. Vamos por esa plaza olímpica. ¿Se puede?
Gracias, Sebas.
Sebastian going for that Olympic qualification to join his teammate in Al Cleland Jr., who qualified last year. And now a special moment there with ISA President Fernando Aguirre and Brian Toth.
Well, I think this is a beautiful moment. Obviously, Brian has been the ambassador of El Sabor Boricua, our pride and joy. And it's pretty cool to see Fernando acknowledge that. We've put our hearts into this competition, both in every field, and Brian did us super well by performing so well. So as Boricuas, as Puerto Ricans, we're super proud of Brian. Gave us that Olympic hope, and you know what? We love him for it, and we back him 100%, and very grateful to Fernando Aguirre for acknowledging his beauty and his passion as an ambassador of the island.
As we take a look now at Rio, opened with a 4.83 for the Indonesian. Like you said, he's just looking right at home here, like he's been surfing here every day of his life. Each heat that he paddles out on. It was a surprise, Barton, to find Rio into the repecharge round when we did. He's been doing well to battle his way back in. As we take a look at Andy on his forehand, couple small scores to start. Finds a little flow line coming into that finishing turn, which would have felt pretty nice. Cody Young drops a 2.93 for his opening wave, and we're still waiting for the Brazilian two-time world champion in Felipe Toledo to open his account.
Yeah, 4.83, the only real score of consequence from Rio Waida on his first. So beyond that, really, you'd be comfortable being Felipe Toledo. You go, I'd rather have the priority than anything under a 5. you'd be pretty confident. But then, it would appear that wave selection is the most challenging thing out there this morning. And we've seen, as Otto illuminated, the surfers who have spent time here and come and done the training, done the mock heats, and done that work are feeling more comfortable than those that haven't out here this morning and the last few days. Tim Elder, definitely one of them. Felipe Toledo, I can't wait to see him get up and riding. He's so experienced. He would hear those scores, if you can hear those scores, and with that wind, and really not be pressured at all at this point.
And that was something that I was thinking, right? He's going to pick the eyes out of that first wave and to make that exclamation point. And yesterday I was watching him really closely, how he was surfing, and really tactical. And he's looking for that open face wave, and I think he's got one. He's got his eyes on this one.
Starting to open up in front of him, pumping, driving down the line into that first snap. Beautiful bottom turn to top turn combination for the second. And we'll track now with Cody Young because he's up and riding as Felipe falls out. He's just going to kick out quickly on that opening wave.
Yeah, Felipe definitely, coming on strong on that one. And I think what he's going to do now, he's going to do what you said, Barton. He's going to come into the competition area, start sparring with these guys, picking off the wide ones, and definitely making a statement. He's on a mission to help Brazil achieve that third position in the men's category. And there you see him on screen, John. I heard last night he had a really beautiful session. Hollows, it rained, and it was really fun. Enjoying Puerto Rico and coming up in the next heat.
Yeah, he'll be coming up in the next heat up against Kehu Butler from New Zealand, Ramsey Bokiem from Morocco, and Iago Dora from Brazil.
That's a stacked heat, isn't it? That's going to be a beauty. And that wind is going to, the aerialists are going to love that wind this morning.
Yeah, I know John likes to go to the east side and go get those ramps and put that board, inverted and all that. And yesterday we saw him go up in the air, and it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the plate today.
Taking a look at some of those, highest heat scores, highest heat totals that we've seen throughout competition this week. Felipe Toledo is one of those names that we would expect to have seen a few excellent scores from already, and he has yet to drop an excellent score in this competition. Unlike his teammates, Gabriel and Iago, both with a couple 8s on the board, Iago walking away with the highest single score of the entire event with that 9.5 for a near perfect air yesterday afternoon.
Felipe dropped a 4.43 there. A score of consequence. Whether that was worth the wait, it's a little bit better than those 3s of Andy and Cody. So, solid position to start. Rio Waida 5.5 on his last, so a couple of scores there for the Indonesian, putting him into the lead.
Remember, as we come down to the back half of this heat, that mounting pressure on Rio, on Andy, and on Cody. If they continue advancing forward, they are closer to Olympic qualification. If they are out of the draw, then that run for them will be finished at this year's World Surfing Games. Andy starting to unleash some style on this inside wave. Great shape to it.
You know what? Doing an observation, I was looking at his board, and he chose a round pin longer board. And I think to your point, Barton, it almost looks better when you put it on rail, when you do those complete turns. And Andy, a little bit of a Machado-esque, or like a taller Machado, just really nice in the pocket surfing. I got to say the Spaniard's definitely after that position.
Toledo now up and riding. Just finding a single turn on that wave. Not going to give him very much to work with. The 2.53 requirement. Last of Andy, though, looked pretty good, Barton.
Yeah, I love those turns. It wasn't a bigger wave, wasn't a wally one, but the way he just carved it back into the pocket and stayed tight, made the most of it. A 4.43 for Felipe. I feel like that was easily earned. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like it was that type of a score that was as good as or better than most of the waves ridden in the heat so far. It was kind of like something that was another throwaway like a lot of the other waves. So, the judges like the speed that he has. He's obviously comes with so much credibility, and when he flies off the bottom into the lip, it's hard to deny.
And if you look at the numbers, Barton, like that mid-range score, I guarantee you the coaches in the corner are telling him, get a mid-range. Those are hard to get today, and then think about that excellent score and think about that air after you've established your foundation. And even though he is in 4th place, one wave could just put him in the top.
Yeah.
Andy now up and riding again, just hunting around, having a little look. Cody Young up into that third place spot now with third priority next to his name. He's chasing a 4.03, and Felipe, of course, just still holding on to that 2.53 requirement. We got a few little attempts that are kind of dropping in, but for Rio, he's been the most consistent in his first two up and ridings. He's actually had the two biggest scores of the heat so far. Here he is, going once again, connecting the dots on this wave, staying really focused, you know, in and out of the competitor zone throughout the week as well. Andy with a quick kick in and out. It's been really cool to see after the qualification of Sushi Young from China, the 14-year-old grommet, young girl qualifying for the Olympics yesterday out of the women's field, to see the celebration coming out of the Asian surfing community, to see Rio Waida, Kanoa Igarashi recognizing her as that next name to really start paying attention to, that celebration of the growth of Asian surfing that's continuing to happen, Barton.
Yeah, it was an amazing thing, wasn't it? Who would have thought that, you know, there would be a 15-year-old Chinese, 15 next week,
Yeah.
Chinese young lady qualifying for the Olympic Games at the heaviest wave in the world, Teopa, one of the heaviest waves in the world. It's going to be quite a show. There's going to need to be some really focused preparation now that they know where they're going. It's easy to nail down the focus once you know where you're going. You know, you're going left, you're going on your backhands, as Cody Young is here for Canada.
Cody with an opportunity in front of him, chasing now a 5.13 as we've had a situation change with Andy moving up into leading position. Cody's sort of having to fight with this wave. It's not really offering him that clean section to start with. Throws the whole back half of that board out on that final turn. Kind of nice sometimes when you do get that camera angle where you can see actually all of those fins disappear. A lot of times that's happening on a lot of turns, but we don't actually get a camera angle where we get to witness that.
I think his surfing was on point. I just think the wave was weak. Like that first turn, he went up perfectly, and the wave just didn't have the gusto to take him. And even in that last maneuver, he went tail free, and just the wave did not have the push. So unfortunate for the Canadian surfer. Very well surfed, but I don't think the wave really gave him the opportunity.
So score to drop through for last of Cody. And it's a 3.37 in quickly. Has him sitting in that fourth place position, Biel.
Snaps, and there he gets stuck for that little bit. It goes flat on the face. Another little snap off something that just popped up in front of him in a moment. He was able to respond. And here's that turn you were talking about. Flared the fins out the back of the wave. There wasn't anything left on that one. So he did absolutely everything he could on that wave.
Taking a look at the last of Rio, it drops in as a 4.83, so it won't change his situation.
Yeah, that last one of Rio didn't really look like much, and it even offered him a great section. But like you said, Shannon, it just doesn't come into play. And with the wine, there's still half of the heat left, so it's anybody's game. And Felipe's still got that 4.43, an excellent score, could just boost him. So there's plenty of time out there for all these guys.
Cody Young out of Canada, hopeful to join Sanoa Olin from the women's side of the draw that's already qualified. He doesn't have too much work ahead of him within this heat, but just a little bit extra as we've seen Andy Creer from Spain jump up into that second place position. He was able to drop a 4.43 for his second to last wave, and just a couple throwaways after that. So we're down to 10 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock.
But Shannon, if we look at the scoreboard from second all the way to third, it's equally as it's just the next wave is going to change the situation. So, you know, we see exactly the same scores for Andy Creer and Felipe Toledo. So this might just change the whole thing right now.
Here we go into the air, and he nearly pulls the rotation. That was wild looking.
He didn't need to do that. At this point in time, that was not the right strategy. You don't need an 8 right now. You need a 5 or a 6, and that wave had it in it, and that was disappointing decision to go for something as dramatic as that when you're really in a position where, you need a 3.63 and you could ease. That was a great first section. Big turn there. It could have gone to be one of the better waves of the heat right here. It didn't need some crazy, wild, inverted thing that you lay back in the whitewater and don't make. It needed a beautiful big backhand snap and capitalise on that. Come round, get another one, milk it through, then go to the air once you've established your foundation, as Otto referred to just before.
Or was he looking for that one-wave maneuver? Because, I don't know, down the line, did it flatten out? And that's what we all don't know. So how crazy is the decisions you have to make within this...
in a split second, in a moment of pressure. And Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with you. Right now, he was in a position to get that 5-point score and just comfortably just come back into the conversation.
Yeah, and just to really set himself back up into that leading position or that advancing position, which it seemed to be quite easy with that kind of canvas opening in front of him. We've got Andy now with a paddle. Uses his priority on this wave. Kind of on the inside. Nice 2-turn combination. And he's looking for a 5.9.
There's a chance it improves on the 3.63.
Yep.
You know, a couple of nice big turns. My mind just goes to Felipe Toledo winning world titles without doing airs at lowers and just ripping the bag and winning that way. That was a strange decision at this point in the heat. You've still got time to go to the air. You've still got time to show the flashy, crazy maneuvers that you have. But as a competitor, you understand that the only thing that is important, not the gratification of one's ego because you did what you wanted to do, but the advancement through the heat because you surfed strategically smart.
And he is actually surfing for his team right now. He's actually pulling through so that Brazilian team keeps that top position. So that's a very interesting decision and probably one of the smartest surfers out there. So good observation, Barton, as we see the Canadian surfer trying his luck once again.
Looking for a 4.69. Won't be able to ride out of that wave complete. Coming up in the next heat, we're going to have Ramsey Bokiam from Morocco up against John Florence from the U.S., Kihu Butler of New Zealand, and Iago Dora from Brazil. Now, taking a look at the men's top half of the draw as well, the main event will be running into round number 6 after the finish of this repecharge round, which only has those 3 heats. The last 6 names left in the draw in the main event are Gabriel Medina from Brazil, the 2 French surfers. They'll be matching up in that first heat with Jean Duru and Marco Mignot up against Gabby. And then Ethan Ewing from Australia, Alonso Creo from Peru up against another French surfer in Kaoli Vast. So France doing very well to keep all 3 of their men in that top round, which means that regardless if they lose out there, they still have the repecharges to continue fighting back in.
And I believe Kaoli Vast is a really good weapon for France, and they're using it for that positioning as well. 3 surfers in the main round, 3 surfers that have no flaw in these conditions, and also a team that came here, spent some time at El Rastreal, and brought the right weapons. So strategy coming into play, that team aspect is really coming alive with the leading teams, and they did their homework.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 5.3 comes in for Andy Criera on that last one. He's up and riding again, Shannon.
Oh, starts to put bigger requirements on the board. Now feeling a little loose, goes for a big layback and he'll fall.
That was a good section for that. It was, after the 5.3, the momentum's building. You can feel his campaign heading in the right direction. Felipe Toledo's second priority, Rio Waida first. Cody Young struggling a little bit on the wave selection front. So between Felipe, who hasn't really found them, and then when he has, he's chose interesting lines, to Cody, who's struggling to find them. It's difficult out there. We can't forget that.
It has seemed, Otto, that a lot of the surfers through the last few days of competition, especially with how much this break has changed from the first day that they were surfing at Rastreal after those couple days at Magra, that it's gotten more and more complicated. And there's been a lot of surfers that have been on the hunt and just haven't been able to find any waves that they, have really been able to open up on.
Yeah, and let's go back to Andy. He is finding his flow. He is actually paddling back consistently into another wave and another wave. Mm-hmm. And I think for the man on screen, he found his flow on an excellent wave. But let's see what Felipe Toledo could help. And the body language, I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunate wave selection there. 0.43. He's ridden 4 rides. Our heat winner has only ridden 3 rides too, but he's only ridden 3 rides because he's got priority. He's in the lead. He doesn't need to catch anything. Felipe's in a very different position to what the heat leader, Rio Waida, is in.
And I believe Andy is kind of falling into a rhythm, using the current, falling right into waves, surfing the pocket really well. Yep. And that's when it gets dangerous. We saw Sebastian Williams in rhythm the whole heat. And I think Andy is slowly but surely just kind of falling into the pace, finding the open faces, and really getting dynamic as he's doing it. And, he's got the highest scoring wave so far. So I think Andy's a bit dangerous in this moment.
Real dangerous. And Felipe, we're down to 4.5 minutes. There's time for 2 waves still. So, you could have not started your heat and get going now and still advance, but you'd want to do it pretty soon. And then when the opportunities arise and there's a score in the wave, they're not the waves to risk. When the score isn't in the wave, that's when you risk stuff because you can surf it up. But if you're going to risk something and surf a wave down, strategically that's not very sound.
Down to 4 minutes remaining on the clock. The silver medalist from the 2022 ISA World Surfing Games, currently sitting in that leading position, Rio Waida, out of Indonesia. He's had an incredible kind of year and a half. It was really exciting for us to get to witness the performances that he put together on the men's WSL Championship Tour. And then to back that up with, coming off of his Olympic debut, which had a run through the ISAs to gain him that sort of qualification. Now, up and riding, Cody Young, out of Maui, representing Canada. His brother on the team this week as well. They both put up a great fight. For Cody, it seems like this heat's kind of getting the better of him, chasing almost that 7-point ride now to get the advancement.
But not through a lack of trying. He's given everything he's got. It's just been wave selection. He hasn't been able to find one that he's really liked, And, I suppose third and fourth are 2 different tails. Felipe's chose to sit a lot, and Cody's chose to try and surf a lot, but neither program are really working at this point in time. So that speaks to the conditions and the difficulty in finding those insides. As Otto said, that low road Otto, and just continuing to go back and wait for that thing to present is definitely the line.
And I believe rhythm is actually coming into play.
Oh, here we go.
You see Toledo.
And he goes for another risky maneuver.
Well, he had to right there. That wave wasn't good enough. He's in 4th priority. He's the 3rd priority. He's down the priority roster. That was the wave to try it on for sure.
This is going to have a lot of consequence for Team Brazil. If Felipe Toledo loses out in this heat right now, Yago Dor is coming up in the next heat. He's also in the elimination round. Gabriel Medina still on the main side of the draw. Cody getting himself away from the pack. Little snap to start, looking for another maneuver here on the finish. He's doing everything you can, like you said, BL, to really keep himself moving. He's putting in all of that effort, but it just hasn't quite worked in his favor yet, chipping away at those 3-point rides. But really within this heat, one of those bigger storylines is the fact that Felipe Toledo losing out here, it starts to open up the door for Team France to maybe lead into that highest ranking men's team over the favored Brazilian team coming into this event.
100%. It's been the storyline of the event so far, and it's playing itself out right now in front of our eyes. And Felipe Toledo's got the opportunity here. Andy Krier goes, no, you're not catching that one. I'll stop you, which he had to do.
Exactly. Well played by Andy. He's put together a great heat so far. He goes into the air and he finishes it off on the inside section. Now, will it be enough to improve his score line? Great to see him bring that variety in. His lowest score, BL, is 4.43.
Which is the best score of Felipe Toledo. So, there's definitely something coming into play. Going back to what you had to say about Brazil, Shannon, situation's getting tight. Yago's in the repechaje. The French team's all in the main event. They're doing strategy so well, in-form surfing, and I do have to say, that's something to look out for.
So true. And thinking of France being the host nation for the Olympics, how important this is for them as a country to be able to send that 3rd surfer.
And the people that they qualified out of El Salvador, Vahini and Carly Vaz, you couldn't ask for better than that. And then you could not have asked for a better performance than what they've done this week. Cody Young needs something.
Nice opening snap, sets it up for the second. A lot of power within his surfing, finding that finishing touch. 3 turns, chasing a 6.59. That will have to be the best wave of the heat for him to take that advancing position off a single score.
I don't know that he gets that score, but he goes Felipe
chasing down a 5.54, just goes for that one backhand re-entry. He will bow out of this heat with maybe one more opportunity to catch a wave, but down to 10 seconds on the clock.
No more opportunities for Brazil. Disappointment in that performance from Felipe Toledo. This man's been winning the heat the whole way. He sat back for a long time, and he just improved on his bottom line score with that one, I'd say.
So exciting. He is one of the people's champ within surfing. He's got so much of the globe as well as Indonesia behind him, hoping for that Olympic qualification. We do have a situation change, though, because Andy Krier dropped in a 4.93 for his last wave. That jumps him up into leading position. Wow. It's pushed Rio down into second. Rio with a score to drop and Felipe with a score to drop as well, Otto.
So Cody with this one, I don't know if it was enough, but definitely I got to give him an A for effort, even though this might even come to the score line. So a great exchange by all three surfers. Andy putting the pressure, finding the rhythm, Barton, in this heat. And one wave maneuver, 4.93. Wow, the Spanish surfer putting a statement on this one.
Absolutely. What a victory, an advancement for Spain. They've been in great form, and I see them winning one of these ISA World Team Championships in the very near future with the young up-and-coming team that they have. Andy Crier, great heat. Felipe Toledo, not so much. Cody Young tried his heart out.
Score to come through for Cody, but now that requirement has jumped to a 6.96, and he gets a 4.43. It takes him into third. It's not enough to take him into the advancing position. We're still waiting for a final score of Rio Waida of Indonesia to drop in. Might factor into his top two waves. Either way, he's in an advancing position alongside of Spain's Andy Crier, who saw two of his teammates on the women's side, Janire Gonzalez Estebari and Nadia Arostarbe, gained their Olympic qualification yesterday. That's given him so much more fire for Andy to keep himself moving forward. Rio as well, putting together a great heat, whether it's that first or second place finish.
Well, Andy found his rhythm. He came slowly but surely and just climbed his way to the top. And that last wave just giving him the nod. And like you said, Shannon, hopeful for the Olympics.
Very hopeful. Well, Rio gets a 5.07 on his last attempt. That takes him in for a heat win. We'll hear from him in a moment. Andy Crier from Spain advancing through in second. Cody Young from Canada and Felipe Toledo of Brazil out of the draw. More excitement when we return. We'll check out a piece on Ramsey, who's coming up in the next heat. Chris Cote and Rachel Tilley to call the action.
I started surfing when I was 9 years old in Agadir, in kilometer 14. It's called Le Rocher du Diable. And that's where my dad used to bring us since we were really, really young, because he used to fish. So he would always go there, and he would just go fish all day and leave us at the beach with the guys over there. And yeah, my brother surfed before me, and I was just playing around with the boogie board, standing up on it and stuff. And then my brother told me, Rams, you should try surfing. And I didn't struggle at the start, so I was like, oh, that's nice. I really liked the feeling and stuff. And I went on to do my first competition in 2003 in Mohammedia. I won that comp. It was, I think, only 6 or 8 months after I started surfing. So it was really quick. It was super cool, and I got hooked. And then I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life, you know.
It's time to rock and roll. We are live from Puerto Rico. This is the ISA World Surfing Games, and we're straight into it. Ramsey Boukhim, representing Team Morocco, fighting his way around a big whitewater section. And he's out. So a quick start there for Ramsey. Chris Cote here with Rachel Tilley. We've got 23:15 on the clock and a massive heat in the water. John Florence from Team USA, Kehu Butler, Team New Zealand, Ramsey Boukhim, Team Morocco, and Iago Dora, Team Brazil. So we just witnessed Felipe Toledo bow out of competition here in these repechage rounds. So if you're wondering, what does that do for Team Brazil's hopes for an overall men's team title? Well, it doesn't do much. They are in a bit of trouble now. They're going to have to lean on Iago Dora and Gabriel Medina to get as many points as possible. Meanwhile, Kehu Butler hammering away on his backhand. Quick start for all of these surfers in the water, putting the judges on notice. Rachel, looking out there, obviously pretty difficult to find a wave of consequence, a wave of note. But in that last heat, we saw some diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, we absolutely did. As we see Ramsey back up and riding. Will he be able to connect this through? Not quite. It's a busy heat. We're seeing lots of waves surfed in these heats. Looking at it from, I went on the beach before to just have a look at the wider view, and there are peaks and waves everywhere. So It's definitely going to be interesting to see how these surfers play this heat out.
Surfers are going to be in for a wild ride, no doubt. We got 21:40 to go. Mitchell Salazar standing by with the winner of that last repo heat.
Yeah, Rio Waida, congratulations on to another repecharge round. It's no surprise that it's difficult out there this morning. How did you maintain your motivation coming up in these types of conditions?
Yeah, it's very tough condition today, but I don't know. It's been like this every day. So, but you know, I'm just doing my job. You know, just focus what I gotta do, and you know, nothing thinking about qualifying or something. Just trying to do my job. That's it. That's all.
A lot of patience displayed in that heat too. You got your two best waves at the beginning of the heat. Andy took the lead right at the end, but you took it back. Talk to me about the patience that you displayed, but most importantly, blocking all the sand out when there was a lot of things happening out here on the water's edge.
Yeah, you know, I got two waves, two good score by like 10 minutes or something. And then I was trying to play the games, you know, with priority and stuff, but you know, I was trying wait for the best one, the one on the little bit wide one, but it didn't came. But you know, I just kind of follow what I feel, you know, defense a little bit, you know, play the games, kind of stay with Felipe, stay with Andy. He got the waves at the end, Andy, but you know, and then you know, I kind of still focus on myself, trying to find the best wave, and I'm not sure what I got last wave, but you know, I just you know, I think I did the job done, so I'm stoked.
Well, you got the win and worked out. Anything you want to say to Indo?
Thank you everyone for supporting, and not many more rounds to go, so I will stay focused, and then I will do my best for my country. Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Love to see that. Different look at Rio Waida, some serious energy coming from the Indonesian surfer right there. And he along with Ramzi Bukiem right now could be the biggest movers in terms of qualification today. Those are two surfers right on the edge of Olympic glory, so can't wait to see what happens next for Rio Waida. Meanwhile, John Florence just looking for that section to appear, setting things up.
And John's coming from this heat from the main round yesterday, so he got knocked out of his heat yesterday by the two Frenchmen, Cowley Vast and Joan Duru. And so he hasn't surfed as many heats as Ramzi and Yago have, as they have been in this repecharge round a little bit longer, which means a lot more heat surfed. So still quite a few heats surfed in these conditions, as we've seen this kind of cross-shore, onshore wind for the past few days. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Is that a little bit... is that better that they're more rested, or is it better having more heats out there in these conditions to be prepared for today?
I mean, I feel like everybody left in the draw has definitely surfed in these types of waves a lot in their career. The coach for Team USA, one of the coaches for Team USA, Shane Dorian, watching John Florence, who could potentially play a huge spoiler role right now. Kehu Butler, Ramzi Bukiem, as well as Yago Dora, still with Olympic hopes on the line. You know, Ramzi, who has had a taste of it. Kehu, who would be the second representative from Team New Zealand if he does end up qualifying for Paris 2024. Gosh, it would be so hard to go out into such vexing conditions with so much on your mind. I mean, you can see Yago's intent. He wants a ramp. He did it yesterday on the strength of two big frontside airs.
9.5 yesterday that was, and that was the highest single wave score of the entire event.
Highest air too.
Yeah.
He went off, and I kind of like that idea. You can see that every wave he's caught, he's kind of done that little stall that he does right when he takes off, and that gives him the ability not only to identify the section in front of him, the stall actually puts you up into the most powerful part of the wave. You push down with your front feet, gives you a little turbo speed boost, which obviously he uses to incredible effect. Felipe Toledo, stoic, basically doesn't look super stoked right now, and
yeah, we
got reason to. That was a tough heat.
Yeah, we just saw him get knocked out by Andy Crary and Rio Waida. So that was it'll be interesting to see what that does for the standings of Team Brazil. Brazil and France at the beginning of this day were the two highest men ranked teams. with all 3 surfers left in the draw, and now Brazil only having those 2 surfers left. It'll be interesting to see how this heat plays out. Could just have Gabriel Medina after this heat if Iago ends up getting knocked out. But Brazil have been pretty clear about if they earn that 3rd spot, it will be the better of whoever does better to Iago or Gabriel who will earn that 3rd spot. So not only are they actually working as a team to try and earn that 3rd spot, there's actually that team rivalry taking place as well of who is on the top of those 3 surfers. Ramsey up and riding.
Yeah, the storylines are thickening up today. Ramsey Bukiem obviously surfing like he wants it.
Wow.
Full effort, plenty of passion. Quick look to the judges. Do you see me? Do you feel me? No, we do. Ramsey Bukiem right there will probably get the highest single wave score of this heat so far. The biggest number on the board right now, a 3.83. I think he just smashed right past it on that wave.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously we're seeing a lot of waves ridden. It's about time that something finally sticks. But I love that release of the tail, trying to maintain that speed on these wind swell waves, and that stamp to finish, looking back on the beach, looking at from that front view, stalls it through there, showing ultimate control. Look at that spray, nice and powerful. He was able to time that really well and find those little power pockets and utilize them well in this slop that actually it's hard to find energy and power in waves like this that are really wind swell generated.
So you're saying it's hard to find the zest.
It's hard to find the zest. Exactly. And I think Ramsey just put it there. So interested to see where that comes through, and then we'll establish what's left to do in the heat and actually establish some standings.
You know, I think attitude comes into play today. You got to be positive. You got to go out there thinking that you're going to get that wave. You got to manifest those sections. You've got to manifest those big scores. And then you got to go out there and do it. Show your aquatic aptitude like Ramsey just did. A 7.67. And that just tells the entire field still left in this competition, that magic wave is out there.
Yep.
And for Ramsey Bukiem to find it with 14 minutes, 23 seconds left, he's putting himself in an incredible position here. One step closer to Olympic qualification with every wave he surfs. Here we go. Iago Dora. Nothing there.
Yeah, with 15 minutes remaining, this is when you do start getting a little bit nervous to not have something at least in your scoreline that you want to keep. Let's look at this little in and out for John. Now, Iago stood up really early on this wave, hoping to get to his feet and be able to generate that speed, but it didn't end up providing that ramp that he was looking for. But let's look at this little power turn of Ramsey. Oofs. That was nice and clean. Now, there's a lot of different faces to this wave at the moment out there, and so the fact that he found and utilized that little clean section gave to everything to get that 7.67.
Yeah, earned every bit of that score, that's for sure. Not necessarily a wave you'd see in a Ramsey Bukiem video part, but real solid blue collar power surfing from beginning to end on that wave. It did show us a little flash of progression with that opening tail slide, riding backwards, riding fakie for a little bit, which is difficult, which is cool, which is unique, it's different. And the judges taking note, locking in the highest single wave score of this heat, probably the highest single wave score of the day, or at least one of them, 7.67. So edging in on excellence right there for Ramsey Bukiem. He's got a 2.93 as his throwaway. And knowing Ramsey, he's going to play a smart tactical game as well. He's going to stay out of trouble. He's a veteran competitor.
And Ramsey yesterday was able to get two heat. He won after I did a post-heat interview with him yesterday. In one of his heats, he only had caught 4 waves, and the conditions look very similar to this. So instead of playing a really busy heat, as we're seeing out there with a lot of little waves, little in and outs being taken, he was very strategic with where he put his energy to, and was able to secure that heat win with 2 scores that were keepers and then 2 in and outs that he just played around with. So far we see him with just 3 waves served, but not a super active heat. John and Kihu also just have 2 waves under their belt.
Yeah, I mean, it would be tough. I keep saying stay positive, but it would be tough to do that out there. It is definitely a very confusing lineup. You're caught inside, you're getting hit by chops, there's a lot of spray hitting you in the face. You know, you'd have to be pretty dedicated to want to go out there on a free surf and stay out there for any length of time other than just to get a little warm up.
Well, you see a lot of different strategies here. Yago going far left and looking for that left by himself. And I think it's pretty easy to get lost out there too. And as there isn't just one clear peak at the moment, there's a few different strategies that can be played. Yago in 4th priority, opting to be a little bit by himself. Let's see what John can do with this wave now. Oh, in and out.
And I'm sure some of these waves look like they're going to be nice little wedgy peaks, but you could tell right there with John's wave. I mean, it looked like it had a cup on the takeoff, but just went straight to the shoulder. To 10:46 now, Ramsey Bukiem in the lead, Kehu Butler in second, hanging in there. His low score is a 1.8. And here we go, Yago Dora punting for a ramp. Nice turn there to start for Yago. Setting things up through this inside. Here's where we could see something big. Boom, Yago Dora blasts the frontside air 360. Whips it around perfectly. Nicely done for Yago Dora. That has been his key to success throughout this entire contest. Set up a turn, build some speed down the line, find the ramp, blast it. Yago Dora will be in the money with that last wave.
Yeah, he'll be finding some momentum, I think, paddling out after that. With 10 minutes remaining, that's a lot of time in heat world, and he'll now look to build upon that.
Yago united for the cause right now for Team Brazil. You know, there are 2 sides to it, right? If he would have just watched Felipe Toledo go out there and just attack, get those big numbers, get a convincing victory, that probably would have fired him up to go out there and do the same. But it was the flip side of that. It was Felipe going out there, not really finding any success. So maybe that gave Yago the fire inside to do it for Team Brazil. We see Ramsey now pedal to the metal surfing. John activates. He gets around that outside section. So a big power carve for John Florence, followed by a little snap on the closeout section. So Ramsey, Yago, and John now with scores to come through. That's going to make this a much tighter heat. Ramsey will most likely still be in the lead because he probably just found his backup. But that number for Yago Dora comes through, a 7.50. Knocking on the door, Rachel.
Yeah, now he's in the heat, putting the pressure on Kihu and John for sure. As we see the heat advancers at the moment, both have single wave scores in the 7s with backups to come, starting to put that pressure on. That's how you want to be playing this heat with 8 minutes remaining.
Ooh, here goes Yago again. This one's looking fun. Yago finds the section, throws the fins, reverts it around clean. Yago has an incredible ability to just will the section to do what he wants. That was not a good section. That was not an air section. That was a section that most surfers would have maybe just kind of floated by and tried to build speed to get through the next section. But Yago's built different. He can throw that frontside whip on anything, and he's proved it time and time again here in Puerto Rico. Right now, he's sitting in second place. He's probably going to delete the 297 from his scoreline and add something with a little bit more substance. That puts Kehu Butler in a tough spot, needing a 6.65. John Florence, last wave comes through, 3.5. It's okay, but now he still needs a sizable 6.98 if he wants to get up into one of those top 2 spots. Kehu Butler now needs a 6.65. Hasn't yet found a wave of consequence to give him anything over a 3.83.
Yeah, and Ramsey now looking to continue to up that security up in first place, a 5.73 being that backup. So a solid backup considering the scores that we're seeing on the board right now. But if Yago's able to push himself into first place, that then puts the pressure on whoever's in second to really go back into defensive mode. So Ramsey had that breath for quite a few minutes, getting that 7 a lot more earlier than the pack got their scores on, but now it's starting to get a little bit more active, more in the game, and I'm interested to see how Yago's plays out. Won't be near his 7.5 because thinking back to his 7.5, he got a couple of turns and that finish of the little air. So this was just kind of that, just straight into it. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. Will still be a decent score, but not quite as high as the 7.5.
Yeah, light work for Yago Dora, but for most other people, this would have been one of the better airs of their week. That's for sure. Here we go. This is the section. This was his big score. Couldn't have done any more on that wave.
Yeah, absolutely maximized that wave. 3 maneuvers, nice turn to open up, kept the speed, and look at how this wave starts to bowl up. So he's reading that as he gains speed and takes to the air. 7.5 there. Utilizing that crosswind that's going straight onto him on that left, on that forehand. So it's all playing out to his advantage right now.
I'm with the judges with that big number. That air to me is never going to get old. When you do it with style like that, when you do it with plenty of speed, plenty of pop and launch off that lip. I know we've seen a million, frontside air reverses in recent competitive history over the last decade, but to me, the way Yago does it, it's never going to go out of style. Gabriel Medina coming up against 2 French surfers, Joan Duru and Marco Mignot. So for Team France, a lot at stake for them as well, because the winning men's team will get that 3rd slot. And for Joan Duru and Marco Mignot, they have not been named to that Olympic squad yet. So this is a huge heat all around. Of course, Gabriel Medina has set his intentions and made it clear to the surfing world that he wants that 3rd spot. If Team Brazil can get themselves on top of the ranking, we could be seeing a whole different story unfolding for us here. Could be the Yago v. Gabriel fight for Olympic glory.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting final to see. Lots happening out there at the moment as Yago got that 517 on that quick air. Looks to improve upon it now.
Nice turn there. Here we go. Where's the ramp? Of course. Again, not an easy section to launch off of, but this is Yago Dora we're talking about. Skate park is open, and Yago is flying. 7.5 and a 5.17. So it felt like Ramsey had shut the door gently, but he didn't deadbolt it. He didn't put a chair in front of it. He didn't knock the refrigerator over and barricade himself into that top spot. The door's slightly open, and Yago Dora seems to be putting the pedal to the metal right now. We'll see if that wave comes through above that 5.17. Meanwhile, John Florence and Kehu Butler living in 3-town. 3.5, 3.83. Their high marks. And their requirements have just jumped up through the roof. A 9.17 is the need for John Florence. Kehu Butler needs an 8.84, so 2 near perfect waves are needed for John and Kehu. Don't write them off just yet. We're talking about one of the best to ever do it in John Florence. All he needs is the section and the wave to cooperate. And he did what he could right there. Not an easy wave to surf, but always fun to watch John put full effort into a wave that he probably would have pulled out of 99% of the time, but it's just fun to watch the best do it in totally relatable conditions like this.
That's exactly what I was going to say from watching that wave, that was just fun to watch. He just surfs it so smoothly, reads it perfectly in tricky conditions, and it looks like Yago improved upon his situation, Chris.
Yeah, the judges they can't get enough of it, just like us, just like all the fans watching. A 6.73 for Yago Dora. So Ramsey Bukian with that 7.67 just gets word that Yago is now charging up the leaderboard into that top spot. Ramsey is sitting out the back in 2nd priority. Kehu Butler has got to be wondering, where are these waves coming from? Where have I been?
And John will know that his last score will probably improve upon going to his score line, which will take that requirement out of the 9s or at least lessen it, but still a really, really high score for the conditions that are out there at the moment. They've definitely put a tough task on these surfers in John and Kehu.
Now they need near perfect 10s. Iago has just been cruising. Haven't seen any signs of stress, of wear and tear, or anything like that. He's got his head down. He's doing his job. I loved what Rio Waida said as well. You know, his job's not done yet. He's got more work to do. Fully focused on the task at hand. Not only pinnacle of sport Olympic qualification on the line, but ISA medals as well. I mean, you could leave Puerto Rico an ISA world champion. Add that to your resume. We've seen what it's done for many surfers in the past. John Florence drops his highest score so far, a 5.60. Manufactured score, which is a compliment. That was a really tough wave to surf. The fact that he could get anything above a 3 on it is pretty miraculous. But again, this is JJF we're talking about, one of the best ever.
Well, and that now puts him only needing a 7.8, a lot more tangible of a requirement. Look, we already have 2 7s on the board in this heat. A 7.8 completely doable for John Florence out there. Now it's just of timing. He's in third priority, so Ramsey, who has the priority just above him, will work hard to keep him off, try and utilize these last 45 seconds strategically, and Ramsey will use that priority just there, as we see.
Yeah, he's a shrewd competitor, as well as one of the most powerful surfers we have left in the draw. Wrapping roundhouse cut back there, big snap, unaffected by the chop and chonk coming up the face of this wave, blasts it all the way to the end. True professionalism on display there from Ramsey Bukiem. So that was basically double duty. He blocked John, got the wave, maximized the potential of that little left-hand runner. That score could change things. Iago Dora now, his last wave comes through a 7.23, so he extends his lead. Kehu Butler, an incredible surfer from Team New Zealand. And obviously, you know, his skill level is above and beyond most surfers on planet Earth. But in that heat, in the span of that 25 minutes, he just could not find his rhythm. But I want to give Kehu a lot of credit. He's surfed a great event.
Absolutely.
And he is a great sport and a true champion from New Zealand. So big finish there from Iago Dora. Pretty much in a heat of his own right there. Ramsey had that one for the first 10-15 minutes, and then it just became the Iago show, and we're here for it. Great surfing from Team Brazil's Iago Dora. He wants it, and it's real fun to watch anytime Iago takes to the lineup. We do lose some heavy hitters. John Florence doesn't go down without a fight. Put up a 5.6 for his high mark, but that's going to be it for John and Kehu Butler. More action to come. Do not go anywhere. It's the ISA World Surfing Games live from Puerto Rico. We'll be right back.
Estamos en otro level, porque ahora ando en yates y aviones. Se nos dio, ahora somos ganadores. Hicimos a que mate, par de millones. En Aventador llegando a las mansiones. Todo comenzó jugando, ponte ready que ya voy llegando. De una picaco, todo comenzó jugando.
And we are back in main event surfing. Here goes one of the main attractions here at the ISA World Surfing Games, the one and only Gabriel Medina. He showed a lot of fire throughout this contest. He just watched his teammate Iago Dora go to the sky, so why not follow suit? Technical prowess on display from Team Brazil. Right now, Iago Dora got a huge win in that last repechaje round heat, so he keeps his Olympic dream alive. Meanwhile, Gabriel Medina. So we go back-to-back Brazil here. Medina going up against two French surfers, Joan Duru and Marco Mignot. Joan Duru, an absolute veteran, a shrewd, steady competitor, a power surfer, a goofy footer who is no doubt taking note that these little left-hand runners on the inside can be the canvas that you need to drop big scores. Marco Mignot, well, he's a tried and true QS threat, but an up-and-comer. When you look at his resume compared to what Jean Duru and Gabriel Medina have done in the past. Chris Cote here with Rachel Tilley. Rachel, Gabriel made it known early on in this contest. He wants the victory. He wants that ISA gold medal. And of course, his Olympic dream at the moment still alive with Team Brazil, at least with the opportunity to keep 2 male surfers left in the draw. If they go gold and silver, depending on the order, this could be an incredible story. And it is already an amazing story unfolding right now from Puerto Rico. 23:10 on the clock. Set rolling through here. Looks like we could have a paddle from Marco Mignot. Will he get the chip in? He does, forcing his way into this left-hander. So 2 goofies versus 1 regular footer.
Oh, will it connect?
Trying to foil across that flat section. It's a messy chunk of whitewater to deal with. Most likely a non-factor for Marco Mignot. Medina now up and out real quick. Well, showing us incredible technical prowess. Iago Dora blitzing through that last heat. He is standing by now with Mitchell Salazar.
Absolutely right. Iago, a pair of 7s, a key to victory right there. By today's standards, easily could have been a pair of 9s. How were you able to do it out there with tricky conditions?
Yeah, it's really hot out there. It took me a while to figure it out, and I was sticking like to the deeper peak in the start, and I couldn't find a good wave, and then I started moving around and starting to find a nice rhythm. And Ramsey had a really nice wave on the start of the heat, and I was just like, at least no one else had scores, so I was like, okay, at least no one else has a score, so I can still build my scores. And that's what I try to do, just like shark around the lineup and find some waves.
At this point of the event, many rounds are already surfed, but most importantly, how do you maintain relevance and integrate your creativity into your surfing?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be creative out there because those are so tricky. You don't have much space to like do something different. It's really like whatever you get, you like have to make the most of it. So that's what I've been trying to do. Like try not to get like too crazy. Just like, okay, I just need to make some heats, and those are tricky. So don't risk too much. Do what you know how to do, and that's it.
You'll surf again later today. Anything you want to say to Brazil?
Yeah, obrigado, galera do Brasil que está acompanhando. Vamos continuar na fé, na torcida e continuamos. Tem mais várias baterias para surfar e vamos indo.
Obrigado, Iago.
Gotta love Iago Dora. He does it in the right way. Joy and positivity paired with professionalism, and one of the best aerialists in the business. And that statement rings true with Gabriel Medina as well, talking about the air prowess. Medina, who's definitely one of the best all-around surfers to ever put a jersey on, shows us just one more element of what makes him such a special talent. Rachel, this right here was incredible.
Yeah, looking at him torque that upper body to get that lift and lands out in front, spins it around real quick, rides out so clean, gives no question whether that was going to be landed or not for the judges.
Monstro. Gabriel Medina, he's so powerful. His airs are different. I mean, this guy is Superman.
Yeah, navigating these chops so well, too. He had his eye on that end section from the very takeoff, just driving down the line, getting that speed for that. Now, that will improve his situation massively, put the pressure on the 2 Frenchmen.
Yeah, and taking nothing away from Felipe Toledo's performance, which I think he would even describe as lackluster in that last heat. It's almost like Iago and Gabriel kind of taking the reins, kind of looking back towards the beach going, don't worry, we got this. We'll do it. And they're just banging nails into the wall right now. Great show to watch. Gabriel with a 7.83 and a 5. That, of course, is before that last number goes through.
Well, this is the narrative here. It has been, for these standings at the moment, for these team standings, it has been Brazil versus France, with both teams, up until this morning with Felipe getting knocked out, both teams had all 3 guys on both sides still in the draw. And going into a heat with both Frenchmen, you know, there can be use of strategy. So Gabriel's clearly not worried about that.
Well, I'm going to go out on a thick, strong limb here and say that Gabriel Medina is going to make his way through this heat. Ramzi Boukiem met some new friends. Sea urchins.
Oh. Ouch.
I would be crying right there. Ramzi is so tough. Most of us would be wincing, crying. This dude probably got those urchins on his way out, unaffected.
Clearly.
Powered his way through that last heat. His Olympic, I mean, he can literally reach out and almost touch that Olympic qualification right now. And, you know, the numbers going on behind the scenes, of course. There's a lot of things I like to speculate about. Olympic qualification is not one of them. I wait for word from the top.
Yeah, well, it is a narrative that is really alive today. We saw all the women's spots awarded yesterday. Let's look again at the slow-mo replay of Gabriel. Now look at how he lands towards the front of that whitewash. Doesn't land on top and then switch around and ride down. He lands nice and confident towards those flats.
And, you know, the astute observer will see right there those boils, the cauldron in front of him, basically dry reef right there, and that's... That reef is just slightly moist right now, so shallow, but also covered in urchins. The double threat, if you will. You like your reefs shallow? You like them covered in urchins?
Well, it's like a don't fall, you know. I will not fall on this.
It's called a starfish fall. Just fall flat. Try to stay on top of the water. So for Gabriel Medina right now, threats are starting to come through. Marco Mignot drops a 717. He's by no means safe. The way he's surfing, you know, with this much confidence and this much, you know, attitude, I would say, in a good way, he's going to be really tough to stop. But Marco Mignot, he's fearless. I mean, he doesn't see Gabriel's cape. He doesn't see his Superman logo on his chest. He just sees somebody he's got to surf past. And surfing like this is going to help him out. This was his big number, 717, Rachel.
Yeah. Finding, again, a diamond in the rough. Able to maximize those clean sections and really laying it into that end section.
Probably 6 of the points on that 717 came from that second turn. That was just a beautiful, perfectly executed backside power snap. A maneuver that will never go out of style. I don't care what year it is, where you're at, who you are. Turns like that are always going to be cool. They're always going to get big numbers from the judges.
Well, and we're in the main round here. So this is a non-elimination heat. 2 of these 3 surfers will continue on in this main round. But these 3 surfers are the surfers that have been able to continue to be in that top 2 conversation throughout this entire event thus far. So we're really at that pointy end of the event. And it is getting extremely high stakes here.
Well, here at ISA competition, and think about that James Bond film, you only live twice. And a lot of surfers who compete in these events, they try to take that repechaje round kind of out of their mind, not wanting to, you know, believe that you have a second chance just to surf with a lot of urgency any chance you get. Oof. As Marco now clicks off a nice ollie back 3 there. Not as dramatic as Gabriel's there, but effective. He's just got a 1 as his low score, so that could put him neck and neck with Medina right now. And Medina's secondary score is a 5-point ride. We've seen 5s just evaporate quickly out there, given 1 section or 1 opportunity. So plenty of surfing left to go in this round 6, heat 1. See Jean Duru, a grower, but not a shower. He pulls out.
Well, the heat strategy here, 14 minutes remaining. These surfers want to have 2 decent waves in their scoreline already and then be focused on improving upon those scorelines. So Gabriel and Marco able to be maximizing that strategy here. Joan's just looking to put 2 waves into his scoreline altogether. He's looking for 2 keepers still. So that's a little bit more pressure. These surfers now just being able to relax a little bit and have a little bit more fun. Let's see what that does.
Jeez, Gabriel Medina, you are cleared for takeoff. He's having fun. Fully rotated frontside 540 by Gabriel Medina. I mean, he is surfing brilliantly right now. What a show.
Yeah,
I mean, Gabriel Medina, you know, he's known throughout his career, kind of got tagged early on as like the bad guy, right? The villain out there in a lot of heats. I think he's flipped that. You know, he's become so beloved by the entirety of the surfing world. Whew. It just makes it undeniable. You've got to be a fan of Gabriel Medina. His ability to do stuff like that. I mean, his use of tactics. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, can kind of question that, but you can't question his heart. You can't question his desire and his drive, and he's having fun. That's the key role thing right now. He's having fun.
Well, with 2 good scores, the heat win so far, he is able to continue to build upon that. That was an exciting wave and will be one of the highest waves of the event, I think.
Oh, yeah. 9.23 for Gabriel Medina.
Wow.
That limb I was out on, remember that?
Well,
that limb is made of steel right now.
You did call it a big, strong...
Yeah, it's braced by steel girders and cement. Gabriel Medina will make it through this heat. And the air show is on. You know, when Medina starts to cut loose and have a good time like we're seeing right now, I think that's where he thrives. You know, again, you put him against a wall, you know, he's going to make you pay in a lot of different ways. He's got every weapon possible. But I think Medina fans, including myself, get the most joy in watching him when he's having a heat like this, where he's now just free to do whatever he wants. We still have 12 minutes left in the Medina show. There are 2 other surfers out in the lineup right now. Marco Mignot has a 717, but Medina is just stealing the spotlight.
Well, and talking about his just his personality and working away from that villain, you know, narrative that he used to have. If you see him in this post-heat interview, which it looks like we will at this point, have a look at his necklace. I was asking him about that yesterday before our post-heat interviews, and he was saying he made that himself. And you can see little like ladybug beads and butterfly beads in between some pearls. He made that at home.
He is so much cooler and kinder than he gets a lot of credit for. I remember he got a big win in, I believe, Fiji. Huge paycheck. Saw him at the airport. He was looking at jewelry. I'm like, of course. He's buying himself a necklace. So I go up and I say, oh, what are you looking at? He goes, oh, I'm looking for something for my little sister.
Oh.
I go, man. He's lovable behind the fire and desire that, you know, he shows a lot of times. Here we go. The board looks amazing. That Cabianca surfboard under his feet is just a gem. I would imagine that a board like that that's able to perform in waves like this will be set aside.
Yeah. And, you know, I think we could be seeing a surfer choose at this point where Gabriel's at. He could basically, you know, paddle in at this point, or at least just choose to, you know, I have more heats to surf today. I'm going to start pacing myself. No, he's just getting hungrier and hungrier, maximizing his time out there, getting comfortable with the waves, and just having fun. And, you know, at this point in a heat, when you have those types of scores and that pressure on your teammates or on your competitors, it's a fun surf to heat. You get that pressure off. You get to just release, relax, and have fun.
Yeah, he's a cheetah with a bag full of catnip right now, having a blast.
I think it's interesting looking at now Joan. He's having a lot tougher of a time out there than his teammate France. Of course, and his teammate Marco from France as well. They both would be going from the same team, getting that same heat advice, same strategy, and ideally their strategy going into this would say, let's have France be 1 and 2 and push Gabriel out into that repecharge round. Now it's the battle of France for that second spot, and Joan just having a tough time even finding the little keepers out there.
Yeah,
so
I would think that Marco right now is thinking, sorry, bro, you're on your own.
Yeah.
We got Gabriel Medina out here.
It's team, but then it's still an individual sport. it's a really tough dichotomy with that one.
Well, for Joan Duru, he's got 9 minutes to go. I mean, he is a clutch performer, no doubt. Put him on the list of one of the best surfers on the world. I mean, that's for sure. He's proved that a lot of times, and you know, we did say he only lived twice here in ISA competition, so he will potentially get a second chance in a repechage round if he's not able to turn things over in this heat. How would you like, Rachel, I know you've been in a million contests, you're a former world champion. You've looked at the waves like this and put your jersey on. What are you thinking when you see waves like this? You know how challenging it's going to be. How do you keep that positive attitude when you're about to paddle out in waves like that?
Actually, I like competing in conditions like this because I have spent so much practice time in sloppy, crappy conditions that I'm confident in my ability to surf up a wave and have that wave selection out there. More confident than my competitor's ability to because of that time spent out there. And I think that's what Gabriel's showing us as well, is that he's confident in these conditions. He knows how to chip into those little waves and have that wave selection in, find those diamond in the roughs when you're just seeing all these little peaks everywhere. That's the advantage that having all those practice sessions in those bad waves does for moments like these.
And that's why you're a world champion, Rachel Tilley, and an amazing analyst. We're so lucky to have you here at the ISA World Surfing Games.
Thank you.
And it's true. I mean, this is why people practice in waves like this. I mean, practice and surfing, two words that are kind of weird sounding together, but practice makes perfect. And you know
Absolutely.
that Marco Mignot, who has access to any of the best waves around the world, you know, representing France, living in Sayulita, Mexico a lot of times, you know, he could, if he wanted, to just surf perfect waves all the time.
When Marco comes from a big surfing family, his cousin Lola competes on the longboard tour with us, actually, and she's an amazing surfer as well, also from Sayulita, and they're just come from just such surfing talent. So
yeah. I walked by a really cool looking little bar when I was in Sayulita last time for Kelly Carranza's wedding, and I'm like, wow, this place looks cool. I go in, turn right, who do I see? Nome Mignot. So if you're ever in Sayulita, find Nome Mignot's bar. It's super cool, and you'll be greeted as a friend, a family member. The Mignot crew is they're just wonderful people. Hard not to cheer for Marco Mignot. You know, just the way he carries himself in and out of the water. His posting interviews have been great.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Just a joy to watch surf.
I think I'd be really interested to hear a posting interview from Joan, actually, because he's only stood up on 2 waves out there. So, you know, we see Gabriel now on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 waves he stood up on, and he hasn't needed to stand up on 10 waves. He posted that 923 7 waves ago, and he's still choosing to have a look, just stand up, stay busy. I'm curious as why Joan is choosing to stay so still when the conditions look like this.
I think a lot of times heats like this are kind of like fishing. You know, if you're on a boat full of fishermen, you're sitting right next to a guy, you got the same bait, the same rod and reel, you're a foot away from him, he's catching a bunch of fish, and you're going, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing different?
Yeah, and at some point too, you know, if he's looking for a combination situation just to get into second position. Now they'd both be Marco's in 9.89 to get into that first position. So Gabriel's really confident in that first. Marco's confident in that second right now with less than 5 minutes remaining. Joan needs to replace both of his scores in order to vie against Marco for that second position. So he needs to start taking off on some waves.
Now, if I'm a coach on the beach, I have surfers remaining in the draw. This is what would make me a horrible coach. I would just say, you need to go out there and surf like Gabriel Medina. What are you doing? Just do that.
Do that. Easier said than done.
9.23 and a 7.83. I think that's the highest heat total of this entire contest, done in maybe the hardest conditions of this entire contest, and that's saying something right there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Here we go again. The wind-up.
doesn't complete that one, but he's just having fun at this point. 4 minutes remaining. Why not?
Yeah. Go for it. You know, I think another element of Gabriel's surfing that makes him so exciting to watch is he does like being a showman. As we see now, Joan Duru. He is a tenacious competitor. No quit in his game. He gets the front side air. That's more like it from Joan Duru.
Now, imagine if he did that 15 minutes ago and he'd start building that confidence and then be able to start building the house throughout the heat. He's left it a little bit late. Those waves have been out there, and he clearly has the ability. Not that we're ever doubting it. We're second, almost on finals day, and he's still here in the main round. But yeah, I'm interested to see why he played this heat the way he has. Maybe sea urchins in his foot.
Who knows? Big heat coming up next. Ethan Ewing, Calivas, Alonso Correa. A lot of eyes on Team France right now. Currently, by the numbers, the favorites to win the men's overall team standings, but we still have a lot of surfing left to come. Remember, your highest placing surfers do get more points. Obviously, it incrementally increases when you get to the top spot. Joan Duru comes through with a 7.23, so he actually eclipses Marco Mignot's 7.17. Now he needs a 5.87.
There's plenty of time out there. 2.5 minutes. I mean, I know in a 25-minute heat, that's not that much time, but he's already back out there. He could actually essentially catch 2 waves because they're such short, quick waves and be back out in the lineup. A 5.87. That's completely grabbable here. This could really shift things around.
I mean, you can feel that he wants it. He took his frustrations out on the end section of that last wave, but regardless of situation in the water, Team France will keep both of these surfers still in the contest. You know, Joan Duru now in third priority takes a look at this little wave, looking for a 5.87. It's a no-go there.
And Marco has priority over Joan, so like we were saying, their teammates, their initial strategy coming in here would have been, hey, work together to get first and second. Now it's back to individual. Marco's going to try and protect that second position, and he has that priority over Joan. You're going to see Marco continue to follow Joan around.
Yeah,
and
that's
hope that time runs out and he's able to maximize his priority usage. Love this stuff.
The phrase you never want to hear from a boyfriend or girlfriend, I love you, but. That's kind of what Marco is thinking right now. I love you, Joan, but ooh, I'm in this to win this as well. Nice little back 3 there for Marco Mignot. So he's looking to get rid of 5.93. That would up the requirement for Joan Duru. 51 seconds left. Joan now in second priority.
He's paddling hard. I wonder if he sees something.
I think it's the opposite. I think he sees too much. There's just chunks and bumps and spray flying all over the place. Can't imagine how hard it is to identify one of those little peaks comes up. Is that a wave? Is that a wave? 25 seconds left.
Well, it's always nerve-wracking when there's about 1.5 minutes to go and you have to utilize that priority to keep your surfer that's looking for that score. So we see Joan taking off. Gabriel here, but Joan was going right.
I want that board. Might be a little big for me. Gabriel known to ride a lot of leaders. Double 360.
Oh my gosh.
A rare.
Oh my gosh.
Double 3. That might have been a little shout out to Italo Ferreira, who's known for a couple quick threes like that, but that was so fun to watch.
Now I wonder what happened on that right for Joan.
Look on his face tells us it wasn't something he was too happy about. So Joan Duru,
see him pumping himself up, claiming if it was what he thought the score would be.
I mean, that's a rare occurrence for Joan Duru. He's a very consistent surfer, and you can tell a lot of aggression let out on that wave. 3 big turns. He's not out of the conversation for potentially second place. Okay, so you were
no,
right.
He's pumped up.
And I was right.
Yeah.
An aggressive claim, letting the judges know he's into it. Here's that double 360 from Gabriel Medina.
Oh,
This
my
is
gosh.
fun. This is good times right here. That's
Look at
that's the type of wave you'd see in the credits of a surf movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the credits of his heat.
Yeah. That was a incredible show. Thank you, Gabriel Medina, for all of that. The whole surf world thanks you for what you just did in really, really trying conditions, but just further proof that Gabriel Medina is surfing's Superman. He lives on here in the main round. We'll see what happens with those last two waves. The Boricua Nation is rising. The beach is filling up here on a Saturday, 10:15 local time here in Puerto Rico. So much action to come. We know you're not going anywhere. It's the ISA World Surfing Games. We'll be right back.
El cariño deja una huella. Vela porque estemos bien. Celebra las nuevas etapas de la vida. El cariño nos mantiene en forma para que no nos perdamos ni un segundo de lo que nos llena de vida. Donde hay cariño, hay salud. Por eso llevamos 40 años cuidando cada etapa de tu vida. MCS, 40 años de salud completa.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua. We are proud, passionate, and full of life. On our island, secrets are more precious when shared. Passion flourishes. We enjoy until our hearts are full. And we know that gifts can come from anywhere. Live Boricua.
Welcome back to the action. We've just had a situation change in that last heat. Joan Duru got a 6.23 on his final wave. That took him into second over Marco Mignot, pushed Marco down into third, and it will be Gabriel Medina with the lead. Joan Duru advancing through on the buzzer, keeping himself in the main side of the draw. Unbelievable. While Marco Mignot gets forced into the repechage rounds to battle it out to gain his spot back into the grand final. Let's take one more look at it. It was just on the finish there, and it was a 6.23.
All sheer passion and emotion created that turn, comes over this section, gets the other one, gives himself a little knock to the chin there, a little fist pump and then a little punch to the chin, and he was psyched. It was a great wave, clutch performance. Here we go, live action, Carly Vast.
Carly Vast representing France on his opening wave, just kind of tracking down the line, looking for those opening sections. We can see Alonso Correa of Peru also up and riding into a nice big wrap for that second turn. Sets himself up with a clean punch to finish. He looks like he's going to ride out of it. Impressive for the start, and that will leave Ethan Ewing from Australia out the back with first priority, wearing the red jersey. Now, interesting dynamics unfolding within the qualification scenario for those final spots remaining on the men's side of the draw. Of course, we know, looking at this current heat, that Ethan Ewing of Australia, Carly Vast of France, and Alonso Correa of Peru are all qualified and heading to Paris 2024.
Congratulations to all three of them. Alonso, he is a force to be reckoned with at the pipeline. Hasn't been to Tahiti, is going to be a force to be reckoned with at that particular break. And he's been a force to be reckoned with this week to earn that spot. We saw it on the first wave. He's been doing big, powerful turns that have really had a lot of volume and speed in them. Super great surfing from the Peruvian. Congrats to all three on qualifying.
Tracking now with Kali on his second ride, a 2.5 to start things off with. Now getting some heavier work done on that two-turn combination. He'll bow out and we'll have scores to drop as a 6.17 has come through for the opener of Alonso Correa. In that last heat, Gabriel Medina with the handmade necklace around his neck has made things look pretty easy in the lineup. Having fun, he's with Mitch Salazar.
That he is, Shannon. Muito parabéns, Gabriel Medina. You just went nuclear in that heat, my friend. A 9.23, 17.06 heat total. Parabéns.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really fun. I'm glad I found the waves, and yeah, it's been fun a week, and I just want to enjoy every wave, every heat.
You integrate your culture super well into your surfing. When I say that, you bring in elements of Brazilian culture within the way you describe yourself on a wave. How significant is that to you, and how important is it to have your team behind the scenes as well?
Yeah, it's been fun surfing with the team. I love Brazil. It's one thing that I always think about, you know, since I started, when I started traveling and competing against these guys, traveling the world. And I know my country is big and there are many people rooting for us. And yeah, it just feels good to make them proud, you know. So that's why I try to do my best. And yeah, I'm a proud Brazilian.
You've won every single heat you've surfed in so far, too. What do you just attribute this confidence to? It just seems like you're on another level right now.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give a shout out to Johnny. He made this board. Feels like a magic board, and it's been a long time that I don't get the magic one. I've been getting good boards, but this one feels good. And yeah, just thank Johnny for the board. It gives me more confidence, you know. I just want to go out there and find the waves, really. So yeah, as I say, it's been fun.
Anything you would like to say back home?
Obrigado a todos que torceram, estão torcendo. Tá para acabar, mais um dia. É isso, cada vez mais perto e Deus no comando. Tamo junto.
Obrigado, Gabriel.
Thanks so much. Great to hear from Gabriel. Putting together a proud performance for his Brazilian nation. And he's looking like a strong favorite to, you know, walk away with that gold medal this week. He would be one of the biggest threats within any lineup that he paddles out into. But given where we're at in competition now, a 3-time world champion in the draw, that's going to be the toughest man by credentials to steal away the victory from this week.
So experienced too, such a great competitor. But when it comes to surfing, the riding of the board on the wave, he is a genius. There's really no one better in my mind. Gabriel Medina is an amazing surfer, so is this young Frenchman.
Cowley up and riding, takes to a quick air, and he'll fall on that opening ride. A 4.67 was his backup score to his 2.5, improves his situation in the lead. Alonso Correa opening up with that 6.17 was the best of the exchange. And Ethan Ewing for Australia, sitting with priority, kind of having a repositioning of himself in the lineup now. They still have Sally Fitzgibbons left in the draw on their side of the women's side of the draw. So Australia still putting a couple of surfers together, moving forward in the main side coming into today's event. And we'll take a look now at Ethan. One of the smoothest surfers in the rail game coming out of Australia. Nice two-turn combination to start, sets himself up here with a quick snappy backhand attack, looking for a 6.18, and he'll get his account opened up.
Well, looking for anything that's, you know, better than a 5, perhaps. I feel like that's a score he'll be able to keep longer term. It wasn't the greatest wave out there. It's not the greatest surfing that he can do, but he is so good at his base level that, you know, anything that he does looks good. He's got beautiful style, beautiful technique, always, you know, flowing and fluid while radical, but riding a little bit bigger board, a 6.1, and you can see it looks great to see that amount of board in front of him. Definitely adds to the overall impression. 3 rides so far for Carly Vast, the 4.67, the best of it. Alonso Correa just taking his time, being a little more patient. He's got that 6.17 to start, so he's in a good position anyway, and looking for one ride really to finish the heat up with 18 to go. So the pressure off the Peruvian. He's taken his time with that first priority. Second priority, Carly Vast. Vast is very fast. A good surname.
He is very fast, isn't he? It's going to be very exciting to see him take on Tahiti, to be able to surf at home for the Olympic Games alongside Vahine Fierro. Both of those two earning qualification from last year's World Surfing Games. And, you know, they have an incredible field and an incredible amount of talent behind Team France. Pauline Audoud, Joanne DeFay, you know, Jeremy Flores from the past, who's now working as a coach. So many surfers outside of those that are just in the draw even this week, though Joanne has been in competing for Team France. But for them to qualify, Kaoli and Vahine, for the Olympics for Tahiti is an incredible accomplishment as we take a look at that backhand surfing from Ethan.
Yeah, it's a dream come true for the French as Kaoli takes off. Nice wrap there. You can see the speed and energy in his body. Gets that nice closeout re-entry. That's the 4.67, the two-turn combination. Now back to the lineup. Alonso with first priority, Cowley with second, and Cowley I referred to as a Frenchman, and then in my mind I was going, well, he's actually a Tahitian, and perhaps that's a more accurate description, you know. He's representing France, as the Tahitians do, but Tahitian born and a great surfing family, and we've seen what he can do at the Olympic venue, and for France to qualify those two, you know, Vahini and Cowley, is an amazing opportunity because they are two of the best young surfers there of all time. And the thing that I've noticed about Team France, I think since Jeremy Flores has been taken into the fold, he's a serious dude and a serious competitor, is seriously experienced and won't take shenanigans unless he's involved himself. Here we go.
Alonso into a beautiful opening wrap, connects it with the next section, adds in that variety, smooth, flowing, power flow within his surfing.
Little variety there with a little layback flick at the end. And there's a volume to Alonso's surfing this week where when those big sections hit, it's not sort of crazy and loose and wild, but it's so solid on the rail and powerful. We'll see it right here. See how strong he is on the rail. Board looks beautiful under his feet. This turn